Hey guys, Kevin, another movie for guys. Now, this movie reviewing, I really did not know how to feel about this movie, to be honest with you. For many reasons, I thought it just kind of looked okay. I didn't really know how it was going to be, but without further ado, let's just get into it. That movie we're going to be reviewing is the 2017 adaptation of Power Rangers. Now, let's talk about Power Rangers for a second, because if you guys have not seen either my movie preview or videos I've done with 22 Tiger Dude, Power Rangers was never exactly a big childhood thing for me. I know so many people are like, oh, I grew up with Power Rangers, I watched it religiously as a kid, and I just didn't, to be honest with you. What would happen, this is completely the truth, is there was a block on Saturdays called ABC Kids, and they had, all kinds of, Disney Channel shows. They played Lilo and Stitch, they played The Emperor's New School, they played all of the, classic Disney Channel sitcoms. We're talking, That's So Raven, Swift, Zack and Cody, Hannah Montana, all that kind of stuff from my childhood, and of course I partaked in watching them. I mean, they were around, I was exposed to them, those were some of my favorite shows when I grew up. When Power Rangers came on, however, I would watch the intro, and that's about it for me with Power Rangers. I'd turn it off because I just was not that interested. I never really was into that kind of show. It just seemed really cheesy and silly, and just not really something that I would be that invested in. I was much more of a sitcom type person. I'm sorry, but that's kind of who I was. I watched cartoons, definitely, but I was definitely more of a sitcom person than I was an action show type person when I was a young kid. Now I watch whatever, but when it came down to that, I never really got that invested in Power Rangers, so I didn't really have much anticipation for this movie. Either it could be good, it could be bad, it could be shit. Either way, I would have told you guys about it. And going into, like I said, I didn't really know how it was going to be, but surprisingly, I actually really enjoyed Power Rangers, especially for someone who isn't really a fan. This movie really impressed me a lot more than I thought it was going to, and especially not in the areas that it did, because this movie was honestly really good. I really enjoyed Power Rangers. It's not a perfect movie. It definitely does have quite a few significant issues, and I'm going to get into some of those, but let's get to the plot of Power Rangers, because the plot of this movie is very interesting. Basically, you have 5 different students in this movie. They all end up in detention for various reasons that I will not divulge in this review because I don't want to spoil that for you guys, but basically, while they're in detention, they start to bond. They go to this abandoned gold this gold mine. Basically, they go to this abandoned gold mine, and through that they end up in this freak accident. And the next day, they all end up having superpowers, and that's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to say anything else about the movie if you guys have never seen Power Rangers or something like that. But let's just get into this movie, starting off with the cast. Now, when it comes to Power Rangers are remembered for a few things. The costumes, the action, the intro, not really acting-wise. I don't really think there's anything there like, oh, that's a star, oh, that's an amazing actor. There's not really anyone like that, at least that I can recall. Remember, I never watched Power Rangers, so I could be very wrong about that. From my perspective, Power Rangers is not exactly known for its acting. So for me to sit here and tell you that the cast is actually the best thing about this movie really says a lot, because the cast here is honestly great. Everyone really did almost everyone really did a great job. All the main actors here, the main players, are fantastic. I think everyone really was great. Dacre Montgomery plays our main lead here, Jason, and when we're introduced to him, he's really not a likable guy. He, starts off the film, he's got this really bad prank at school that he gets into trouble with, but what I like about him is that he does have good intentions. He's not a complete jerk. He's not someone who's just insulting people left and right. He defends people. He does have a good heart, and he's a good leader, and he's a really good character. I thought Dacre Montgomery really did a great job, and what's great about him in this role is that Dacre Montgomery actually is going to be in Stranger Things Season 2, and this is a very good precursor to that. This really just showed me that this kid really is very talented. I really like this actor. I thought overall he definitely did a very good job, and he definitely did carry the film quite well. I like what he had to do here. And then Naomi Scott as Kimberly. A lot of people are going to say, oh, she is your typical, you're just your typical character that gets guys, titillates guys and things like that. But that's really not what she's here to do. They actually make Kimberly a much better character than that. Yes, she is there to be a little bit, attractive and things like that, because she definitely is attractive. Naomi Scott's a very attractive actress, I definitely will say that. But they actually give her a really good reason as to why she's being bullied, and the reason as to why she is being put down, and to why people are looking at her in this weird way and giving her weird looks is actually very well done. Something I really was not expecting from this character, but I thought, again, she really did do a great job, and I really did like what she did here. Even RJ Cyler as Billy, I thought was really good. They could have gone in this character so wrong, because as you guys know, or you might not know, this character actually is autistic. Yeah, he actually is autistic in this film, and they don't do it in a way that's offensive. I've seen it done way worse in films. The way they do it here is pretty good. He is autistic, but it doesn't cripple him. He definitely is more the comedic relief at points, but it works for the most part. They're not doing it just for, insulting purposes. They're doing it to be like, oh, autistic people, they can be regular people too. There are different forms of autism. To me, it seemed like they were kind of paying respect to it, that not all autistic people are completely helpless. There are different forms of it, and I thought overall they got it done pretty well. I really did like his character. When we think of autistic people, we think of people who have disabilities and maybe they can't speak, maybe they have problems, maybe they have problems with communicating, maybe they just don't pick up on things very well. They don't exactly address what kind he has, but I thought overall he definitely did do a very good job. I really like what he had to do here. The most surprising, however, was Becky G as Trini. I don't exactly think of Becky G as an actress, but she really nailed it here, and she is a lesbian in the film, and it's about as exposed as LeFou being gay was in Beauty and the Beast. They don't really pay a lot of, attention to it, but that's good. I like that it was very subtle with it. I like that she just happened to be gay. They didn't make a big deal out of it. This is the way to do it. Like I said in Famous in Love before, that's definitely not the way to do it. This is the way you do it. You do it very subtle. You just have that character that happens to be gay, and I thought overall she definitely was very good. I really liked everyone here. Ludi Lin also was great. I thought everyone really did do a great job. The chemistry between these five definitely was really great. A lot better than I was expecting it to be, and because their chemistry is so great, it really does help for most of the movie, because they really do work great together, and it's surprisingly much better acting than I would expect in a Power Rangers film. But beyond the five kids, I thought the other actors here were definitely very good. Bill Hader does a good job as Alpha 5. He does kind of what he has to do. Sometimes he's annoying, sometimes he's not. But Bill Hader, I thought, did a good job overall. He never really got too annoying for me. I actually liked his character. Bryan Cranston was fantastic as Zordon. I really liked him here. I think he was definitely the right choice for this character. Very powerful. There's a lot of exposition going on with him, but it's necessary exposition. So I thought he definitely did a good job. However, Elizabeth Banks, on the other hand, as Rita Repulsa, look, Elizabeth Banks has never been an amazing actress by any means. There's nothing I can really say, Elizabeth Banks was amazing in. She was good in Wet Hot American Summer, she was, but she needs to be given the right role. And Rita Repulsa, I don't know if this is the right role for her. I really don't know. She does this thing in the movie because everyone else is so toned down and subtle and just kind of they feel real, that when Rita Repulsa comes in and she's doing the over-the-top voice, and it becomes a lot more cartoony, and I don't exactly know if that Rita Repulsa really fit in here. I get that that's the character, but it felt like less of a character choice and more of Elizabeth Banks felt she had to be over the top, and she didn't need to be. I thought you could have dialed it down a bit. You didn't have to be as over the top as you were, and a lot of her scenes were honestly, I was not as into them as I wanted to be. I thought a lot of them were just kind of laughable. I was laughing a lot at her character, and not because she was saying something funny. It was because of the way it was done. A lot of her stuff ends up being very unintentionally funny. The good thing is she's not in the movie a ton. She's only really in it in the first scene, and then a lot in the third act, but I thought overall she was definitely the weakest link here. It definitely does suck because she is the villain. Maybe she'll get better, but right now I think she's still trying to fit into that role. This really did not work as well as I think they wanted it to, and like I said, she really is the weakest link. Other than her, the rest of the cast is really great, a lot better than I expected them to be, and that's very, very surprising for a Power Rangers film. And then the directing into this movie. The directing here, I thought, again, was actually very well done. Surprisingly, this is a very restrained film. It doesn't rely a ton on action, it's not relying a ton on shock value, and it's not relying a ton on comedy either. It's actually relying a lot on the drama that these characters are going through, and who they really are. And I thought that was actually done very, very well. By doing that, they really got you to care about these characters more than you expect them to do, and that's something I was very surprised with. Again, I kind of just expect this to be a mediocre film, but because they added more characterization, that really did benefit the film. I thought the directing was definitely very well done. The movie's definitely fun as well. Like, I was having a blast during a lot of this movie, definitely. There were a lot of really fun scenes. There's a great training montage. There's a fun scene where they first, get their powers. I thought that stuff was very fun. There's a lot of really nice comedy here. Some of it doesn't really work, but I thought for the most part the directing definitely was quite good. The writing here as well, I definitely was impressed by the writing because, as I said, the movie chose to focus less on the action and more on the overall characters, and that's very welcomed, honestly, because these characters are very interesting, and they did a good job with not making them one note. You would expect it to be, oh, he's the athlete, she's the cheerleader, he's the nerdy kid, he is the, she's the lesbian, but that's not what this is. They just happen to be those archetypes, but they're a lot more than just that label, and the movie really treats it that way in a very good way. And again, I was very surprised with how much emphasis was put onto these characters, but they did a great job with that. I'm sure many people have talked about this. There is a campfire scene in this movie, and it's really well done. It's them getting to learn each other more. It's that we find out more background about the characters, and it's stuff that you really get to know why these characters are the way they are, why they act the way they do, and I thought all of that was very well done. I really did love the screenplay here. I thought that was definitely very well written. All of that was definitely really great. And like I said, them getting their powers, all that leading up to it, was definitely very well done. I really did like the screenplay here. And the cinematography as well actually looks really good. Like, I was surprised, but it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look, it looks, the technology has definitely evolved since the 90s, and it's very well shown here. Honestly, they did look very good. I was very impressed with the way the cinematography was done. I thought all that was definitely really great. The score was fine. I thought definitely the score was really good here as well. And then the editing, I was very impressed by the editing. The movie never really felt that long to me, and I thought overall that was definitely very good. Now, as for flaws with the film, now while there is definitely a lot of positives, this is not a perfect film. There are definitely quite a few significant flaws that I do think cripple the film a bit. Not a ton, because it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be, but it definitely does affect the film significantly, and that's basically has to do with the end of the second act and the third act. Like I said, first two acts are really solid. There's some great characterization. There's some really fun team up. There's just a really great dynamic there, and it's just a really fun movie. You care about these characters. You want to see them get through what they're going through. You like seeing them take down these bullies that were treating them like shit in the beginning of the film. All that stuff is very well presented. However, once we actually get them on the mission, the movie not only slows down, but it isn't as interesting as the rest of the film. I think because of how great the character stuff was, once the mission actually started, it does feel kind of rushed. Like, all of a sudden, now they're training, now they're getting their costumes. Now, it's not exactly rushed because they don't get their costumes till the last 15 minutes of the film, which that was a very interesting choice. So they didn't get it till the end of the film. I was very surprised that they did that. But the action stuff here, I just didn't think was as strong. It wasn't bad, it just felt very generic and very mediocre, and just kind of like they just had to have action in here. Because, there's certain things Power Rangers need to have, and a lot of that just felt less like, oh, we're doing an action scene, more like, we need to have this in here, so we're gonna put this in here. Like, them getting the costumes, them using their superpowers, it was good, definitely. I didn't really feel like it needed to be here, because of how strong those first two acts were. When the action eventually happens, unfortunately, it just isn't as interesting, and it's because of Rita Repulsa. I just didn't find her to be that threatening. I didn't find her to be as entertaining as she probably is in the action show, and I just wasn't as big as a fan of her as I think the movie wanted me to be. Rita just She was good for what she had, but again, I just was not really a fan of Elizabeth Banks. I thought a lot of the action was kind of unmemorable and just didn't really work. However, there is some fun stuff, definitely, and especially involving Krispy Kreme donuts. I will definitely say you will definitely have a hankering for Krispy Kreme donuts after this movie. Everyone has reviewed it. They said that. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Watch this movie. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about because definitely that's something that will definitely appeal to you. But other than that, guys, I, again, surprisingly very much enjoyed Power Rangers. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it was going to. There's a great message about teaming up and not letting, not have someone just be who you think they are and how someone who may be a certain way isn't actually the way. I thought that was definitely very well done. The characters are really good. The acting's really good. The action's even pretty good. It's just a lot of the third act that isn't as interesting and did start to drag a little bit. But overall, I definitely did enjoy Power Rangers, and I'm definitely giving Power Rangers, surprisingly, a 3.5 out of 5 or a B. So overall, guys, that's my review of Power Rangers. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. If you have seen it, love your thoughts on it. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. Honestly, I would be up for a new one if they're definitely... I heard they're going to make more, and I definitely want to see more because I think this is definitely a very talented cast, and I think they work very well together, and I honestly want to see them do more. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for another movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.